Hey Cam fam, welcome back and welcome to Keeping Up with Cam. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning into our channel, and if you're a returning subby, thank you so much for coming back. I know we've had a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back and better than ever. So we finally got this video edited. We are giving you our Toddler Boy Hairstyle number 85. When I started out, I said this is going to be a zigzag braid. I changed the zigzag halfway through, but we made it. So I'm starting with my Camille Rose Kids Brown Buttermelt. This is actually the last time that I'm using this, but the concept of it is nice. But I just found that maybe his hair's kind of become used to it and it doesn't work as I would like it to. So I'm going in, I'm letting that melt in my hands, and I'm just rubbing that through his hair. And then I'm also going in with the Camille Rose Honey Hydrate leave-in, and I'm putting just a little amount, rubbing that in, and then putting that in the hair as well. We want to make sure that the hair strands are moisturized, are nourished as we braid the hair, so that it will stay that way throughout the style. And of course, make sure that the protective style is actually protecting the hair and helping it grow and not causing breakage. So you see me going in there with my favorite wide tooth shower comb. It does look kind of like I'm just pulling his hair. I promise I'm not. This video is sped up. Make sure you're being very gentle with their hair. Hold the roots tighter and start off at the ends, and then work your way up through the strands as you're detangling. Very, very important. So once I've done that, you see I originally sectioned it off. Had to get rid of that. So I'm going in and I'm splitting that section up into two. So I'm going from the ear to the middle, because that's going to give me an equal, like, horizontal plane to work with. I can do the same thing on the left side when I'm done, because again, this style is symmetrical. So whatever I do on the right side, I'm going to do on the left side, so I can work one side at a time. So once I do that, I'm going in with our Shine and Jam, the yellow one. This is my favorite. I find that it gives a good enough hold for what I'm doing. It helps with parting, which is super important, but it doesn't leave flaking residue, doesn't let it get crunchy or anything like that. So once I've gone in and I've straightened out that part, I'm now going back to that front section and I'm straightening that out. So I'm getting a good amount on that front part there, because we are going to be doing a bit of a design with it. This is my Red by Kiss parting comb. Please get this one. I broke this one just recently and I had to get a replacement. I got like the cheap one and I'm so disappointed. I'm going to show you guys how to fix it if you have a bad one, but get the Red by Kiss one, please, please, please. So I'm going in with my Denman brush Dupe. I keep saying that I'm going to get the real one. I just never remember when I get to the store, but this works perfectly well. I just like how it detangles. Again, you can use anything that you need. These are the tools that I've used. I'm going in and adding the gel to the perimeter as usual, but I do like to remind you guys that I put a little bit of oil along the perimeter before I put in the gel, just to make sure that it's protected. I know it's kind of weird and, you know, he's a little bit older now, but it's just something that makes me feel a little bit better about putting like harsher products on there, especially if we're like brushing them out. You don't want to cause breakage along the hairline. So once I've done that, I'm going in now and I'm braiding downward. So I'm braiding kind of like a pop smoke direction, not going back. So I'm doing this for 3 braids, going down, and then we're going to continue along after. I did do 3 here, but depending on your child's head size, the thickness of their hair, other factors, you may be doing more or less braids on this side. But don't do them too big. I do like to have them a bit thin, just because when you're adding them together, which we are going to be, you don't want to have too much hair to braid together as the one braid, because it's going to be too bulky. So you want to do them as thin as you can, thin as you'd like, and then that way when we're adding them together, it's not too much hair that we're piling in together to braid. All right, so this is where we're breaking out to get the end part of this initial braid. So I'm going in and I'm just parting all the way down. I'm curving it a little bit because, you know, when we're going back, you got to kind of go with the shape of the head. And now we're going to add these braids together. So I'm going in with this middle braid, as you see here. I'm getting the 3 pieces and I'm going to grab that first piece and just braid it along with one of the strands of the 3 of the middle piece. And I'm just going to go and continue. I'm going to add in the last braid and then I'm going to braid it all the way down. The reason why I'm doing this is because that first braid is right at the perimeter. That's where the hair is delicate. That's where the hair is thinner. So I don't want to be pulling and tugging and doing all of that joining of the braids right at that perimeter, because I don't want to damage the hair. So I've started with the middle, and then you're just braiding all the way back down like a normal braid, easy peasy. If there was any issue, you can go back to that section of the video and put your video speed to 0.5, and that's just going to slow it down even more, and that way you can catch where my fingers go and while I'm braiding that section. Okay, so now we're going to get started on the zigzag part of this braid style. So we're going in and we're just creating small parts all the way down, kind of like the same size as the ones that we did on the side here, and then we're doing more. So I'm going in and I'm just creating those and making sure that I'm cleaning them up using the Shine and Jam. We want our lines, our section, to be very neat, because we're doing a intricate part of the style. We want to make sure that when it's done, it looks good. It doesn't look like it was just kind of thrown together. You want to clean up parts for any braiding, but when you're doing something that you want it to look a certain way, you want to make sure that you have those lines extra crisp. So as you can see, I'm going in and I'm just throwing the twist that I've done of those sections on opposite sides, because I want to make sure that I know how many times we're going to zigzag and where they go. And once I've done that and I've decided, okay, I'm going to do this many, I believe in this instance we have 5, I'm going to again part off the end of the braid just like we did for the first one, so that it can connect and go down the head and finish off. So as you can see here, I'm just going all the way down, making sure that the part is neat and it attaches to the beginning of our zigzag. And it might have been quick, but as you see here, I'm now parting again. So that is to make another braid going down. But this one we're not attaching to anything. It's not going to be attached to a zigzag. It's just starting at that same point where the end of the zigzag starts, and it's going to go down. So as you can see here, I'm showing you all the pieces that I have attached to the first braid. And then we have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, which is really just 2 braids going down, because that first one is going to attach to the zigzag. Okay, let's get our Shine and Jam in. We're making sure that we're adding enough product to each braid because we want it to be neat. We want all the hair to come into the braid. It is a smaller braid, so we don't want any flyaways. We don't want the part for the section to be off. We don't want it to be wonky. It needs to be neat so that this actually looks like the zigzag that we're trying to accomplish. And once we do that, we're just making small little pieces into our braid as we go, because that is the first piece of the design that you see. You want it to look great. So once we have that done, we're going to take the second piece out and we're just going to attach it. We are bending to the right, I believe the right side. We're making that curve in there. We're just adding in that hair and we're continuing to braid. It's not like our previous one where we had 3 pieces and we're adding those pieces into each other. This is just free hair that we're adding and braiding in as we go. Alright, so again, we are going to add into this. We're going to braid into it. You're going to take that new section of hair and you're just going to braid it in with the 3 strands of that first part of your zigzag as if it was just a regular braid. So this one is going to get a little bit tricky because we're adding a little bit more hair. So as you see, I had to fix that again because we want it to be cute. We are adding more hair, so it's going to start getting a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker in size. That's why we start as small as possible. So as we go along adding in more hair, it doesn't get too thick and too lumpy, especially if your little one has thick hair. The more thick hair you add in, the taller, the lumpier that style is going to look on their head. So I'm going in and I've curved it again. And I'm adding in that hair. You always want to braid a little bit extra. So you see I'm braiding a little bit extra just to hold the place. Then I get out the new piece. I add my product, do whatever I have to do. Then I'm going to go back, unbraid it a little bit. And then I'm going to add in the hair as I curve and make the new zig or zag of the braid. Alright, so remember, if you need to undo a certain piece and go back and try again, that's fine. This part gave me a bit of trouble because, as you can see, it got a bit big along the curve there. If I wasn't recording, I would have more space on the other side to get it tighter, but because I'm doing this with a camera and I need to make sure that you guys see, I didn't have the ability to re-braid that part. But it came out fine, but I would have wanted it to be a little bit tighter and have a neater curve as you see that other one has compared to it. But either way, it works out. Just know that you can undo a little bit and redo if you need to. Nobody's judging. Once we've got our zigzag to our desired length, essentially, or a desired spot, we take out that first section of hair that's going back, we prepare it, and then we're just going to add it in. So you're curving it just a little bit, but not really too much, and then we're going to do the rest of this braid as a straight back braid. So I'm just adding in the hair as I go, and I'm braiding it all the way down, and I'm going to finish it up like a regular braid. And remember, even if I don't show it, make sure that we are combing and brushing the hair out, especially at this point of the hair, as we go, because with the thicker the hair, the curlier the hair, once you've been doing all of that braiding in and out with each other in the top part on the scalp, once you get to the hair at the end of the hair, the free falling hair, it's going to be knotted, not knotted, but it's just going to be very contained with each other, and you want to make sure that you're stretching out the hair to get its full length as you braid down so that the hair is looking to its full state once we braid it. So now we're doing the first of two braids that are just going to be like normal straight backs, starting at the middle point of the hair. So this is where you joined the hair when we did the zigzag, but since we're not adding any zigzag in it, we're just starting a regular braid and going all the way down. This is just, like I said, a regular straight back braid, but it's starting in the middle, and this is just to fill up space. Once you do a design, you're taking up space and you're taking up area from the front of the hair that now you kind of just have hair sitting in the middle, and it's like, how are we going to finish this off? So this is why I'm just doing the straight backs from the middle, because we've taken up that portion in the front at the top with the zigzag. So we're doing two of these going back, and it's just going to, enter into the style. It's going to look the way it's supposed to look. This is what we're going for. At the end of the day, your style can be as freestyle as you want it to be. You have certain things that you want to do. So for me, that was the zigzags. And then everything else kind of just forms around it and creates the style as you go. Go ahead and make sure you're adding your elastics to the end of the braids. You don't have to if your child's hair doesn't require it. For me, I just like it because I'm making sure that it keeps the hair together. So I'm going in and I'm showing you here how I've parted the hair straight once you let go of it, but once you pull it kind of taut, and that gives you a look of what it will look like once it's braided, you realize that it's a little off. So make sure that you're doing this while you braid so that you know that what you parted is indeed going to be straight once you braid. Because like we've spoken about before, moving scalp is a real thing. Some of us don't even know that our kids or ourselves have it. And it just makes it a little bit difficult for us to part hair when we're braiding, because you part it one way, you think, because visually you can see that it looks straight, but once you start braiding, once you start pulling and getting the hair in a tighter space, you realize that the scalp has tricked you, and there's more space there, and it's going to give your part a wavy look to it. So just make sure you're pulling the sides taut before you braid, especially for that middle. If you're doing like a crisp middle part, you want to make sure that it is indeed going to be straight. All right, so once you're done, you're going to go in with your grease. I'm using the Kuzo 100% Indian hemp hair and scalp treatment. It's my favorite. It's really natural, and I'm going in, I'm just adding that to the scalp. You would do this at the end because you will be able to see all the scalp that's out, so that way the hair is not getting dry and flaky. But since we're not done, we're just going to do half, but you're going to make sure that you add that in. Very important. And voila, as you can see, we're in the elevator. We had to go. We didn't have time to do our regular video. So because his hair is a little bit big, I had to do a little adjustment in the back there where I added 2 into 1. But it's going to be the same design from the right side to the left side. Symmetry, I love it. It makes it easy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know in the comment section down below, or you can find us on all our socials at Keeping Up with Cam. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.